Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 183 of a year of change and the beginning of week 27 and the beginning of our second 6-month period. We've actually we're sort of at a point of no return at this stage. It's going to be longer for us to go back the way we came than it is to keep on going forward. So, bravo, we're going to keep it up. Today, a couple of things first. Before we actually get into what we're going to be doing, I do want to sort of touch on my sodium and fat, because I keep forgetting until it's the end of the video during the end of the week, and I figure I should bring that up first. This week, as expected, I did not reach my goals. I wasn't feeling all that well this week, and so as a result, I ate really, really poorly. Stayed below all my calories, but I had a lot of junk food sort of things, like cookies, and just didn't eat healthy at all. Ate less than I was supposed to, and then tried to make up for it by like peanut butter sandwiches at the end of the day. So in the middle of the week, I started sort of trying to undo the damage that I did, which I was okay by the end of it. I did my weigh-in this morning, as we should all do. Don't forget, do your weigh-in. Weigh 3 times, take the highest number. And so, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday when I did, when I took a peek, and I was actually 6 pounds heavier than I was last Sunday. So in 3 days, I had gained 6 pounds. So I was able to bring that back down. So I still gained from last week, unfortunately, because of the poor eating. But overall, it was 0.8 pounds. So compared to 6 pounds, that's pretty good. So over the past 2 or 3 days, I've lost almost 4 or 5 pounds, whatever the math is. Anyway, it just sort of goes to show you how much damage can be done just from not eating properly right away. Regularly. Just in a matter of, there was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so 4 days out of the 7. Just from eating really poorly and not eating, trying to keep the fruits and vegetables in your diet and everything else, how much damage can actually be done. Sorry. But in the long run, things are okay, feeling much better, and back on track. So, should be all right by the end of it. Anyway, what was the other thing I was going to talk about? Yes, the sodium and fat. Part of that, of course, sodium, I did not reach my goal. I was slightly over. I was around 2,400 instead of the 2,300 that we're aiming for, which isn't bad considering, that I just ate processed stuff. The fat that I had, I did go over that as well. It was around 33%. When I go in and I take a look at the what are called the macronutrients, the carbohydrates, fat, and protein, my protein is like 10%. So that'll give you an idea of how little beneficial food I had during the week. And it doesn't take much to sort of throw everything out of whack and have you gain all the stuff and then, try to fight hard to bring that back to where it is. But as I say, those last 3 days of the week, I did what I needed to do and was able to drop those again. Still overall, it's a gain, which is really sucky, but no one to blame but myself for this. Anyway, what we're going to do today, we aren't going to do any changes. We're going to continue watching our fat intake and try to keep that around 30%. We talked about the good fats and bad fats and the animal versus vegetable and all the different stuff. And this being our last week of looking at fats, sort of focusing on fats. We're still going to be tracking them. This is the hard one. This is the one that is going to be kind of odd. And that it's taken me a while to sort of wrap my head around. And it's basically cholesterol. We've heard about it all the time. Everyone always says, they have high cholesterol. Then you hear, there's good cholesterol and there's bad cholesterol and, HDL and LDL and triglycerides and all the other shit that goes in together. Basically, all that cholesterol is, it's what's called a lipoprotein. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think lipoprotein sounds better. Basically what it does, it helps build cell membranes, cell walls, helps process vitamin D. It's a bunch of stuff. It's in all the food that we eat. And we do need it because it transports things back and forth through the blood and, between the liver and the blood and then the blood and the liver. The blood. Anyway, so it is something that we need. Just like regular fats, we need that. And this is part of it. But there are two main kinds. there's one. We're going to get into the good and the bad. We'll start with the bad. We always seem to. Well, no, we started with the good. Anyway, the bad is called your LDL cholesterol, your low density lipoprotein or lipoprotein. Basically what this is the one that goes from your liver all through your bloodstream and transporting things. The only thing with this is the one that you always hear that it's clogging your arteries. Because where it's sort of out in the bloodstream, it does have a tendency to stick to your artery walls. And essentially what it does is that if you have a vein or an artery, that, you say this is obviously not to scale. If you have an artery that's this big, and you have cholesterol that's transporting back and forth, it does tend to stick to the side of the walls, and that can start building up. And that's where you get plaque, basically. And what it does is that it constricts the blood vessel so that not as much blood can get through, and that's when you start looking at cardiovascular disease and heart attacks and all the other stuff. That's why they're concerned about the cholesterol. With the other type of cholesterol, the HDL, which is high density lipoprotein or lipoprotein, I probably should have really looked at how to pronounce that. Anyway, what that does, that goes back to your liver. That transports all the other stuff back through your arteries. And it also has a tendency to scrape away, for lack of a better term, to remove the low density cholesterol from your arteries. So it can sort of help clean things out. And then it ships everything back to your liver, and that comes out as bile and... Well, it comes out. Yes, part of it comes out. Anyway, so that's the good cholesterol. That's the kind that we need to sort of focus on. Because it's sort of like balancing out the good fats and the bad fats. They look at this and they say, this is from like American Heart Association, Heart and Stroke Foundation, all that stuff. When they look at these, they say it's probably more important to have a high HDL. High density. Yeah, that's right. High density, so HDL. Too many acronyms. So it's better to have a high number of the HDL, which is the good cholesterol. That's more important than having a low number for the LDL. So anyway, long story short, basically, if we can raise our high density ones that sort of clean everything out, that's going to improve the low density ones. So you can look at this, you can see how much cholesterol is on things with nutritional labels and stuff like that. There are some sources that you can go to, though, that will help increase that in general. And it's a lot of stuff that we've added to our diet already. Things that, like fish, obviously, because we talked about that before. Nuts, oatmeal, avocados that we did last week as well. So things like that, there are a number of different things that you can look at as well. Anything with lots of fiber in it, if there's soluble fiber. We talked about that when we did the grape tomatoes as well. Soluble fiber is the one that can be dissolved, and what it will do is that it sort of encases everything and helps things move a little smoother. Then there's the insoluble, which is the kind that doesn't dissolve, but it just sweeps everything out. So anything that has like soluble fiber is going to have good cholesterol in there. Sorry again. Anyway, so I was going to go through triglycerides. Basically, triglycerides as well. Those are just the fat cells that's where they go. When you eat too much, that's where the majority of cholesterol goes to get stored into fat, and it'll get used at a later date. That's pretty much all it is. So when they do a measurement of your cholesterol, they do the high density, they do the low density, they do the triglycerides, and then they add a bunch of them. I think they pretty much add them together. No, it's your high and your low, and then 1/5 of your triglycerides, I think. And then they divide that by... No. That is divided by... No. They take your total cholesterol and divide that by all those numbers. Anyway, whatever the number is, that's where you get your little numbers, and that's where things are good, bad. I mean, the higher the number, apparently, the worse off we are. Now, this isn't something that I have done yet. I haven't had my cholesterol tested. It's one of those things, again, that I go, I should probably go and just sort of get a whole thing done just to find out where I stand. The problem is, of course, I'm still waiting for a doctor. So I hadn't been to my doctor in a very, very long time, 7 or 8 years. And, yes, 7 or 8 years, because I very rarely get sick. And if I do get sick, that's when I go. So, of course, he's retired now. So I'm now on a waiting list to get a new doctor. When I do, though, I will go. I will get all the stuff done. We'll see what we can fine and share numbers that way. But anyway, that's pretty much it for cholesterol. I don't know if I explained it very well. That's, to the best of my understanding, the best way I can probably explain it. So eating things like oatmeal, fresh fruits and vegetables, fish, things that we generally associate as being healthy, that's going to have the good cholesterol in there. So the more that we can put that into our diet, the higher that number will go, and try to lower that low density, bad cholesterol. And like I say, they look at it and say, if you can raise your high density, your good cholesterol, I'm just going to call it good cholesterol because otherwise I'm just going to go HDL and LDL and LMNOP and FMC4. Phi? That's not even a letter. It's a number, a letter, or anything. Anyway, because the higher, the more concentration you have of the good cholesterol, the more it's going to sweep out the bad. So that is more important than actually worrying about your low one. Your low density. So increase your good cholesterol to begin with, and then we can start working on lowering that bad cholesterol. I don't know if you can see my hands. There we go. There, see? That's better. Anyway, to prioritize. Just to do it that way. I know this is a lot of... When I first started looking at this, and I was going through and just trying to understand, obviously as a layman would, just what it does exactly. All of that sort of went by the wayside, and was like, all right, what is the good? What is the bad? What do I need to look at? What can I eat that will, increase the good and lower the bad? Stuff like that. Basically, a lot of common sense stuff. Things that you look at and go, it's probably healthier. It's good for me. It's going to have the better cholesterol in there. And again, we do need it. So it's not something that you can cut out entirely. Your body does have to have it because it transports a lot of things back and forth and helps with your cell membranes as well, which means that you would just fall apart if you didn't have it, I think. Maybe. I don't know if that's really medically valid. Check with your doctor. They're going to know much more than I do. But at least it's sort of like a little entry-level quick blurb saying, here's the cholesterol, here's what everyone's always talking about. And, depending on how high your number is, that's really what determines the danger that you are in or the risk that you have for cardiovascular disease, heart disease, all that stuff. Again, though, the higher your good cholesterol, then, I can't remember the exact ratio, but it does lower it. There was one, and I can't remember what the number is. I want to say 60. If your good cholesterol, your HDL, is 60 or above, that basically, for all intents and purposes, obviously it's not 100%, but generally, through the Heart and Stroke Foundation anyway, they look at that and they say if it's at 60, because of how much work it actually does in clearing out the bad cholesterol, it essentially makes you immune to cardiovascular disease. I mean, you obviously can still get it, but because of that high number, it's doing so much work that you really are in no risk. So that's a good thing. So we can keep raising that to a good level. We should be all right. And then we can sort of go back and forth that way. But again, that's part of the healthy eating that we're trying to get into. And this is just sort of one more aspect of it. I think it's going to be a little easier to worry about the cholesterol level because we've added more healthy things in there. We've added a lot more fruits and vegetables. We've looked at, walnuts and almonds and avocados are another one. All those things that we've just sort of slowly been adding into our diet, and not necessarily cutting out bad foods. It's just that because we're adding so many newer ones and some good foods, that we really don't have the room for the bad ones, and they've slowly been going by the wayside. Except for last week, which I have no excuse, just a matter of me going, I don't want to prepare things properly. I'm just going to have ready-made stuff, and it's going to be horrible for me. Which may have actually contributed to me feeling bad. After the first couple of days, I probably would have been able to bounce back if I had actually been eating properly. So that'll be a lesson to you as well. Anyway, that's it for this week. No changes really, just a little bit more information and, see if you can edit or alter your diet that way. I will put some links in the description below just to give you another quick little overview of the cholesterol that I found anyway. You can go and you can take a look at it in a little more detail. Even something like Wikipedia is going to be able to help. But I'll put in some there from the Heart Association and Heart and Stroke, which I think they both had something. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll put those down there so that you can get a brief overview and, see if you can pick out a few new foods that you're going to try and add to your diet, see if it's going to help things out. And if you do get a chance, now that we're sort of getting out of the fat part and going into the sugar starting this week, if you do have a doctor that you can go to and get tested, the numbers might make a little more sense to you now. And then you can say, okay, well, good, this is what this does, and here's what I need to do to lower this and raise this and all the other good stuff. But right now, I'm going to leave this video here, so thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.